How beer saved the world. How did we get from being nomads and hunter-gatherers to modern day society? It's all because of one unthinkable beverage, beer. Hunter-gatherers stumbled upon barley during one of their many hunts. Not knowing what it was, they automatically thought it was for food. They placed it into a jar and went back hunting. During the remaining days it rained. When they returned, the barley turned into beer, and when they drank it, they received a good feeling. And that feeling made them want more and influenced them to start farming. With farming out of the way, they started to build the first civilization, Mesopotamia. They also started to expand with the plow, wheel carts. They even started the first language, cuneiform, math, and bookkeeping. Even the Egyptians drank beer, from the youngest to the oldest, rich and poor. Even Egyptian gods drank beer. The god Re was the creator of life, love, and beer. And even in his afterlife, he wanted to have 1,000 jugs of beer. Now we would call that pyramid light. Egyptian beer was a vital source of nutrition and a main source of food in Egypt. Beer was like money, and the daily worker would receive a chip that equaled a gallon of beer. It literally took 231,414,717 gallons of beer to build the Pyramid of Giza. Now that's a lot of beer. In 1928, Alexander Fleming founded antibiotics, which later led to the finding of triethylene in 1948. But why is this important? Because in the 1990s, scientists found that Nubian mummies had significant amounts of triethylene in their bones. In medieval Europe, they couldn't drink their water. Why? Because they dumped their tannery, sewer, meats, and stuff like that in it. And that made their water deadly to drink. But what they did drink was tons of beer. Why? Well, they boiled their beer to make it taste better. And by doing that, they saved tons of lives. But we know now by boiling their water, it killed the germs. But the people in those times drank 300 liters a year. And monks were also master brewers during this time. Beer was like liquid gold, and the townspeople only went to church. Well, some went for Jesus, but some may have went to church just so they can get a beer afterwards. And beer also helped establish, well, entrepreneurship. Beer also helped establish America. You may be asking yourself this, like how could beer be so important to us? Well, beer was important upon the Mayflower, and when they ran out, they had to change their course of Virginia to Plymouth Rock. They wouldn't drink the water because in England, the water would kill you. And without barley or hops in the foreign land, they didn't know how to make beer until, well, the unexpected friend the squirrel came along and gave them an idea of acorn beer. With beer back in the flow, it kept Plymouth Rock alive and going. Beer also influenced the American Revolution. On December 12, 1773, the Sons of Liberty gathered at the Green Tavern Dragon to discuss the struggle of freedom from the British. They sat around a table, drank beers, and started to take charge of the situation, giving us the American Revolution. Beer helped open up the rest of America by establishing a communication network by taverns. In those times, taverns were meeting places to discuss the revolution and the next moves. Our national anthem Well, it was borrowed from an 18th century drinking song. The song helped to see if you were sober enough to drink another beer. Same melody as our anthem, beer was also the base of modern day medicine. Well, our founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Sam Adams, and Benjamin Franklin, were master brewers. Well, Benjamin Franklin felt that beer was very important. He said, beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Now that's a true beer lover. Many of you may know that pasteurization is used today to clean milk. Some may know, or may not know, that Louis Pasteur is the founder of pasteurization itself. But what you may not know, well, he wasn't studying milk. He was studying beer to see why it spoiled, and stumbled upon bacteria and realized that beer was simply alive. With this discovery, Pasteur later came up with the germ theory that saved many lives then and still today. Well, that's why doctors wash their hands. The first refrigerator was made in 1881. But why is all this important? Well, because of beer, of course. In 1840, lager beer came to America by two German beer makers, Fred Miller and Adolf Coors. Lager beer was different from the current beers in America. It was simply brewed cold to control the flavor. But in 1840, it could only be made during the winter. They had to transport the ice in, which was very expensive, and very expensive to store it. So in 1881, Carl Van Dunden invented the refrigerator. With the refrigerator built, it opened up the doorway for air conditioning, manufacturing, storage of medicine, helped keep organs alive for transplant, and of course, the most important thing on our minds, ice cream. The 21st century has excelled at mass production, all due to the assembly line. Many people thank Henry Ford and the motor car, but now I would beg to differ. We can thank our old time friend beer. 10 years before Henry Ford in 1904, Michael Owens created the production line for beer bottles. With the bottle making machine in effect, it helped bring child labor to an end in the United States and brewed and bottled 6.2 billion gallons every year, which is 20 gallons a person. In 2008, Four Pines Brewing Company was established and are ready to take their beer out of space with their certified space beer spout. The astronauts are going to say, to beer and beyond. And for all of my beer enthusiastic individuals, this is my works cited page. Cheers.